Hello, hello, hello. It is Ranting Raspberry, and we are going to be recapping The Last of Us Episode 2 Infected. Episode 2 starts off in Jakarta, Indonesia, September 24th, 2003. So, this is a day before Episode 1. And the police are looking for the professor of mycology. And obviously, the reason being is there's an outbreak and it's hitting the fan now. Basically, people are missing the bodies that they're collecting, they're finding fungus. So they're getting a professor of mycology, and she is actually, it appears to be um like the second opinion, trying to just like confirm probably what they already know. But she's eating lunch, and everyone's looking around the restaurant like, why are the police here? They're here for the professor. Yeah. And she's, obviously being really respectful, trying not to do too much. But she's just like, am I in trouble? Like, what's going on? And they're like, we just need you for something. We need your opinion. But basically, she gets the rundown on what's been going on, and she asked them why the specimen was in a certain solution, because that solution would only be used for like a human specimen. She tells them that cordyceps can't survive in humans, and there's kind of a look of terror on her face when she says that, because what she's seeing now is that it appears that that is wrong. Um, so she's shown a specimen of a dead woman that was shot by police, who was clearly like infected, and she had a bite on her leg, and the professor was told that this woman bit four other coworkers and then was shot. Those four coworkers were detained and they later had to be executed. And no one knows who bit the woman, the specimen they have on the table in the morgue or in the lab. They don't know who bit her originally. So not only did she bite four people, and who knows who else, that's just the people that, like admitted to it or whatnot. We don't know who bit her originally. And who's to say that she only bit four people? So the original biter is still out there. 14 other people are missing. 14 other people are missing. And we know how these things move. We know how they move. Once, it doesn't matter if it's a crippled older person, let's just say, that can no longer move in the ways that they probably once were able to. We know that once they get bit or once they become exposed to the fungi, they can move pretty damn fast. The fact that 14 people are missing, that's not good. So, good luck with contact tracing at that point, because as fast as this infection moves, there's no hope. And the professor, she's scared. She knows that this can most likely not be contained without extreme oversight and supervision. And honestly, without a cure, it's very unlikely you would see an end to something like this. But her recommendation to the police was basically like, we got to bomb. We have to bomb this place, because the only way to lessen the infection or the spread of whatever is going on is to bomb it. And we later on see in the episode that that's what they did to a bunch of major cities. It may have slowed down the spread, but it didn't do anything but slow down the spread. If people are infected and they're out of that bomb radius, people are still, it's still a shit show. So, after she tells the police officer that, or I think maybe it was someone in the military, it probably was someone in the military, um, they both look scared, because this is serious, this is real. We gotta bomb it. And she just wants to spend the last time that she has with her family, so she requests to be brought home. And yeah, it's serious, it's deep. So we cut to current day. We have Joel and Tess, and they're still not feeling Ellie, which is understandable. They barely got out of the QZ. Ellie's just sleeping there peacefully. But Joel, he's not, he's definitely not feeling her, and he doesn't even want to deal with any of this. And Tess is like, well, let's just get what we came here for. But they do want to know why she's so important. Like, what is the big deal about her? Ellie confesses, she's like, I wasn't supposed to tell anybody, and I'm telling the first people I meet. And it's like, yeah, if you want to stay alive, it might be good to just let people know what's going on, even though you don't necessarily know if you can trust them yet. I think it was in her best interest to confess because Joel was genuinely talking about shooting her. So there's that, and she did hear him. So yeah, maybe confess. But she confesses that she's immune, and the Fireflies want to bring her to people that are able to, make a cure. Joel is definitely not buying it. Tess is a little more laid back and patient, and she's like, let's hear her out, let's hear her out. But Joel's like, we've heard this before. And honestly, after what, like 20 years, yeah, they've probably heard something similar to that multiple times. And honestly, the way things are set up now, probably highly unlikely to happen. But who knows? I don't necessarily. Like I said, I haven't played the video game, so who knows about the world building of The Last of Us? Maybe there are different parts of the country that are a lot more advanced. Maybe things weren't as bad in that area, so they have more doctors, they have more scientists and researchers, and people that are able to have good public health knowledge and create a cure and whatnot. Yeah, Tess is a little bit more hopeful than Joel, and it's understandable why Joel is so jaded. They get to go, and oh, it was also cute. The Fireflies, Marlene packed Ellie with a chicken sandwich, and you could tell both Joel and Tess were a little bit jealous. Like, is that chicken? Yeah, I guess you guys don't have that over there, do you? Well, I'm special. So that was kind of cute. As they're kind of making their way, Tess sees essentially where they bombed major cities, and Tess kind of explains to her that yeah, they did bomb major cities, but it obviously didn't work. It did slow down the spread, but it didn't stop it at that point. And you can kind of see, and I do kind of wonder if Tess had a family previous to the breakout of the infection, or if maybe she was like a teacher or an aunt or something, because she definitely kind of has a matronly, a motherly presence to her and energy with Ellie, and she's kind of, I would say, a little in a little bit of ways bonding with Ellie, but also trying to get some more info out of her and also putting her on game. This is still a 14-year-old child. You don't know much about the world, let alone how to navigate these harsh environments. Like, yeah, but you're still a child. Like, you're still not fully thinking things through. And Ellie, she's feisty, she's very clever, but sometimes she doesn't think things through. She is trying to get more info out of her, like, you got a boyfriend? Is there anybody looking for you? How'd you get bit? And Ellie lies and says, I was by myself. I was in the mall. And Tessa's like, okay, you got some balls on you. But also, she lets Ellie know, like, you may be immune, but you're not immune from being ripped apart. Yeah, you're not immune from that. So be careful. These things, they kind of, fungi kind of has like this hive mind, this connection to it. It's connected. So maybe you step on some fungi over here, it might wake up a connection of infected and other fungi over miles away. So you need to be careful. You need to be aware of your surroundings. And as we know, that's, you not only need to be aware of your surroundings in terms of infected, you need to be aware of your surroundings in terms of other people. Because we know there are raiders, there are abusers, there are people that are not good people. They're just not good people. And you could argue that Tess and Joel may feel that way about themselves as well. And you could argue that maybe they aren't good people, but there's I don't even want to get into that now because there is that, argument to be made for sure. Tess is definitely giving mother energy right now, giving aunt, big sister energy. I really wish maybe even just a few minute like flashback of Tess's story before the infection or the outbreak, but also I think the show does a really good job of just telling you the story that needs to be told without adding too much fluff to it. So maybe it's not necessary that Tess needed a big backstory, but I personally would have liked that just because I do like the energy that she's giving Ellie. Also, I think she just probably thinks Ellie is a cool person side of having her be their quote unquote cargo. They have to pass through a fancy hotel because the original path that they were going to take had a bunch of walkers, mangled up sunbathing where, Tess was giving her that advice about the fungi being an organism that is essentially connected. So if you disturb one area, you might wake up the infected in another. So they go through a hotel, which Ellie seems really impressed by, even though obviously the fancy hotel is no longer as fancy as it once was. Like it's riddled with dead bodies. It's flooded. It's just probably stinks in there. Ugh. So they pass through the hotel, and then they have to go through a museum. And yeah, they had a very, very, very close call with two walkers. And like I said, these walkers are, I'm calling them walkers. I too much of the Walking Dead. The infected or clickers, I'm probably going to be using those terms interchangeably, but the infected, they're fast and they're hard to kill. They're very hard to kill. And I'm assuming because I've heard that the infected, like sometimes there are stages to the infected. So I'm assuming that the more progressed in a stage of infected you are, it might be even harder to kill. So yeah, it was a very, very tough, like a close call with that one. And Joel barely makes it out, but it's Joel. So he makes it out. He saves Ellie, and Ellie's looking at him in awe and kind of in fear, like we saw in the end of episode one. And it turns out through that encounter of the close call with the infected, Ellie gets bit, but luckily it's Ellie and she seems to be immune, and it's actually in the same spot she was bitten before. Like she said, if it could happen to anybody, we should be glad it's her. But after this encounter, you can kind of see Tessa's energy is a little different. There's a shift in her. She's still hopeful, but she's like snappy. She's tense. She's like argumentative with Joel. She's dismissing his attitude, and she's on a one track mind now. And during that encounter, Joel was with Ellie, but Tess somehow got separated. So we don't see Tess while Ellie and Joel have that encounter with the infected. She's acting different. There's just a different energy to her. And as they're walking out, we can see that the horde that we saw earlier has moved. And Tess is trying to she's just, like I said, she has a one track mind. She's trying to get a move on. She's not even thinking things through. And she's like, well, let's go. She grabs Ellie, like not even thinking about it. And Joel, he's like, we're done. It's over. Let's go back home. And Tess essentially admits that their luck had to run out sometime and she was bit. Ellie actually figures it out before Tess admitted to it, and Tess shows she doesn't have much time because she got bit on the neck. And obviously they're all disappointed. Joel, you can tell like he's disappointed, but he's probably, and obviously we know he's dealt with disappointment, like grief, loss, all of that, but he wants to crack. He won't allow himself to, because I'm assuming maybe he couldn't claim Tess, like he couldn't bring himself to claim Tess as his like apocalypse wife or whatever. They obviously had a strong bond, and they were family. They were very close friends. They found comfort in each other, and obviously Joel knows that that's a death sentence. So he's disappointed, but he's been through so much. That obviously sucks. Very much so for Tess and Joel, but also for Ellie, because Joel and Ellie obviously aren't there to the point where they feel safe with each other and they feel like opening up, but at least Tess was there to kind of be that buffer and kind of be there for Ellie in a way that maybe Ellie hasn't had an adult figure there for her in probably quite some time. So that really sucks. Or Tess is really just trying to get Joel to see like There's hope. There's hope with Ellie. She compares her bite to Ellie's bite, and they look completely different. Ellie has a fresh bite, and she also has the bite from whenever she got the bite, but it's obviously been some time, at least multiple weeks since that bite has happened, at least a few weeks since that bite has happened, and nothing has happened. You can see signs of healing actually. And with Tess, the infection is spreading and it looks like it's getting worse. Like, Tess knows she doesn't have much time, but she's telling Joel that Ellie's hope. Save who you can save. Get her to Franken Bills. Joel obviously, you know, keeps that promise and snatches Ellie away. And Ellie's like protesting. She's like, I'm not going with you. He just snatches her and like, I mean, Joel, he's so sick. But oh my gosh, okay, let me stop. Joel is a big guy. Like, it doesn't take much. So he snatches her and they leave the building. And Tess essentially has to blow the building up as her last act to stop the horde that is like probably in the building and surrounding it. And right before Joel snatches Ellie and leaves, you could tell Joel kind of wanted to like kiss her, but you could tell like he was also hesitating because it would probably spread the infection to him, and also at that point what's the point in adding to the hurt even more. But Tess does get a last kiss. A clicker kisses her, and I don't necessarily think it was a kiss as in the romantic sense. Obviously it wasn't that, but I still do think that Tess was still like cognitively there while that was taking place, even though I think the infection was starting to get to her. I think that clicker quote unquote kiss was more so about spreading information. Because if the fungus is connected, wouldn't it make sense to spread that information to a host that is not like, I mean, she wasn't dead yet. I mean, I don't know, but it just seemed like it was a little bit more than just a kiss. Like, it seemed like a little more the fungus wanting to be connected more so than a kiss. But yeah, that sucks for those to be her last moments. But before that, she does spread out gas and she's trying to light this lighter, and then yeah, the last thing she saw was some fungus, infected, trying to get on her, trying to kiss her, fungus in her mouth. Ugh, that sucks. That was supposed to be Joel. But anyway, she lights the lighter, and luckily, because she was struggling, I think the infection was getting to her. She eventually gets the lighter to light, and the place explodes, and that really sucks. I wish Tess was able to have her redemption in another way, but I think Joel and Tess do believe they're bad people, or they've done things to survive that make them bad people, which you could argue that for sure. It just sucks for them. And I would like to add that when the building blows up, obviously Tess is gone. Hopefully it got all the infected and everything, but it seems like based on the screams, there might have still been people alive, probably injured. Like, I don't think they were alive and thriving in that museum, but there was definitely a few people in there that was still alive. So, because I heard screaming after that museum was blown up. At the end of the episode, when the museum is blown up, and you can see Joel and Ellie running away, you can see how alone and guilty Ellie feels, and you can understand why. She doesn't want to be alone with Joel. Like, it was nice to have Tess there as that buffer. And yes, this is the apocalypse, but Ellie is still relatively sheltered from this world, like having to truly, truly survive. She grew up in Fedra school. So yeah, I'm sure it was a struggle. I don't think it is the struggle of having to survive on your own, having to dodge infected, having to deal with people. I don't want to call them apocalypse people because I guess they're all apocalypse people, but truly, truly having to deal with people on the outside. Because as we know, you do have to deal, infected are one thing, people are another. Yeah, you can just tell Ellie feels extremely alone and guilty. Joel, I feel so bad for him because he's already gone through so much loss and grief. The one person probably outside of Tommy that he felt like was family is now gone. Like, don't like the family that he has right now. It just sucks, Tess appeared to at least care about Ellie, and that was Joel's little blue thing, is his family. So it sucks, and the job definitely would have been easier and a lot safer with an extra hand. But we know Joel is a capable man. It is definitely not that surprising. Ellie doesn't want to be alone with Joel, especially since in the beginning of the episode he did threaten to put a bullet in her, so I guess I wouldn't want to be there alone with him either. I would definitely like to have that buffer of Tess being there to kind of at least, can you hear me out before you shoot me? Yeah, Tess would have been helpful for that. That is the end of The Last of Us Season 1, Episode 2. Thank you for tuning in. And if you like the video, please like and subscribe to my YouTube. Thank you.